Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Joni Ogg, and on behalf of TravelProfessionalNews.com, Home-Based TravelAgent.com, and FindAHostTravelAgency.com, I would like to thank all of you and welcome you for being here today. We are thrilled to welcome our speaker today, and that's David Meyhofer. I finally got the right way to pronounce it. I've been messing it up for weeks, so I apologize to David. He is currently serving as the Vice President of Sales and Engagement at Travel Planners International, TPI. And he's a seasoned professional with over 2 decades of experience in the travel industry. Prior to joining TPI, he held key positions at renowned companies such as Celebrity Cruises, Colette Vacations, and Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where he excelled in sales, account management, and leadership roles. He's got a proven track record of leadership, building and maintaining very strong relationships, prospecting new business opportunities, and delivering engaging presentations and trainings, which you find today. With a bachelor's degree in recreation and leisure services management from East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania, David brings a unique blend of industry expertise and educational qualifications to his role at TPI. Now, today's webinar is going to be super fun. The topic is 3 lessons from a middle school graduation, how to thrive in the middle. Now, I know that if you saw that title, you're like, what in the world are we going to talk about today? So this is going to be super fun. Dave does a wonderful job at coming up with very unique titles and fun presentations. So you're all in for a good time. Now, 2 very lucky attendees are going to win 30-minute consultations with Dave. So be sure to listen carefully for your chance to win. And additionally, 1 more lucky attendee is going to win a $50 Amazon gift card, courtesy of us at Travel Professional News. So just remember, folks, you are all muted, but we do welcome your questions and encourage your questions at any time. Just put those in the questions area that you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. When the presentation's over, we'll take as many questions as we can. So let's turn over the microphone to my friend Dave and get started. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Joni, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm doing well. It's only going to be 114 here in Arizona today.
Oh, that's it? Oh, well, you have, I guess I can't. I've been complaining about the crazy humidity and some of the heat up here in the Northeast, but we cannot contend with you, so I'll stay put here in New York. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for having me, Joni. It's funny, right? With these that we do these, updates and webinars, trainings, and I'm talking to so many travel advisors, daily, weekly, monthly. And there's so much to cover, so much we could talk about. And one of the most recent personal experiences I had was attending my daughter's middle school graduation. And I was fortunate enough to listen to some of the speakers. And, I'm sure you and many of our listeners and those who have tuned in have experienced that, where you go to these big events, specifically graduations from different levels of school and education, and you get a variety of speakers. You get a variety of people giving speeches, and some put you to sleep, but some keep you awake. And today I'm going to share with you some of those things that kept me awake for sure during my daughter's middle school graduation. So I'm gonna just jump right into it, Joni. I know, coming to you from Travel Planners International, I thankfully have the pleasure of working with over 5,000 travel professionals all throughout the country, and the name of their game is selling vacation and travel opportunities to a variety of customers. And I try to take almost every experience I have as a learning experience, whether it can help benefit me personally, help benefit me professionally, or just really open my eyes and teach me a lesson or provide me that reminder. So recently, again, this past end of the school year, had the fortunate opportunity, my wife and our family got to celebrate Ava, and this is my daughter there. And the big thing for her is not only was she able to walk cap and gown with her fellow classmates on this very, very hot end of school year day, but ultimately it was a celebration of her surviving the middle. And I'm going to get into those three really key aspects and lessons that I learned from this graduation and from some of the speakers that got up there and shared, their wisdom and insight, some of those things they were chatting about or discussing. One of the first big things is, right, the middle, and how the middle can be extremely awkward. Joni, I failed to reach out to you before putting this presentation together and get your middle school picture. Do you have any you would like to share with the audience?
No, I don't have them handy. So many years ago, I don't even remember it. But no, but thank you for the offer. It probably scared everybody.
No worries. And sadly, I misplaced my photo albums. I misplaced my old photos.
Sure.
None of these pictures, for the record, none of the pictures that anybody is looking at right now, that's neither Joni or myself or any of our friends and family. But you get my point, right? Like, that awkward. And I can think back to myself. Like, at one point, I thought I would be a professional trombone player. Other parts of me want to become a professional baseball player, right? I think all of us, and for those tuned in or you're watching a recording, think back to middle school and think back to those experiences you had, right? Whether it was your first crush or somebody you thought you were going to marry, right? Like, some of us had those feelings and thoughts. Some of us, like me, I mentioned, trombone, instrument, sports. I also, when I got into my first real quote unquote art class, I had big dreams of, oh my gosh, maybe I can become a cartoonist. And the chicken scratch in front of me and seeing what some of the other kids were doing, I learned pretty quickly, nah, I am not an artist. So really, middle school being that true awkward phase where, yes, it's awkward, but all of us learn so much. And there's so much good stuff, really, when you think back to it, that is happening during middle school and being there in the middle, feeling awkward, yes, and going through all these emotional changes, physical changes. There's so much going on. But thinking back and really, all of the good stuff that you're picking up throughout that middle school experience. With every experience, there's a start and there's a finish, right? Every experience. When I wake up in the morning, that is the start of my day. What does that look like? When I'm about to go on a vacation, what does that experience look like from before I even book my trip to the moment I get home from that trip, right? So in the start, or that startup phase of any type of experience really in your life, there may be anticipation, excitement, right? I'm excited for that first day of school. I was anticipating what my new school might look like or my new friends. It's a fresh start. I've over the course of my career, there were times where, I left one company to come to another. It's a fresh start, right? Nerves, right? There's a lot of positivity, but there's also some challenges. You're dealing with nerves, sometimes good nerves, sometimes bad nerves, sometimes nerves that may get in the way of what you're truly trying to accomplish. But with every start, there's typically some kind of nerves, especially if you care about it. High hopes. Think about it. I'm sharing with you an analogy of middle school and high hopes of my daughter, maybe some of your kids out there, or grandkids, or you yourself, right? Have these high hopes of what that school experience might be like. You might have high hopes of what that African safari might be like going on vacation. High hopes of a new job and all of these things that we're talking about. And then there's also the finish. With every story, with every experience, there's a start and there's a finish. We're going to come back to the middle, I promise. But in the finish, right, you may feel accomplished, relieved, right? Middle school, you cap and gown, or middle school, high school, with a college graduation, right, you feel accomplished. Relieved, right? Oh, whew, I got that out of the way. Man, I had a busy day at work, but it is happy hour time. You feel relieved. That's the finish. Satisfied, right? Accomplished, satisfied, kind of go hand in hand. Exhausted. Joni, you ever have one of those days where all you want to do is put your head on the pillow? I know I have.
Oh, yeah.
Reflective, right? With every experience, with every story, there's going to be typically, some things we choose to forget about, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to reflect back on whatever that experience is in some way, shape, or form. Let's all take a second and think about your job as a travel advisor. Maybe you're new, maybe you're experienced. But let's talk about the selling experience. Let's talk about when you're working with customers, right? There's that initial start where you're greeting them for the first time. Maybe you're meeting them for the first time over the phone. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's in person. God forbid we meet in person, right? But that meet period, right? I know now more than ever, and all of these pieces are critical to the story, and all of these things are happening around you. And like I said, we're going to get back to the middle because that's the sweet spot. That's the juicy stuff. But in the start, you're greeting and meeting, you're qualifying the client, putting them through that interview, quote unquote. There's that dreaming and wondering phase, both from you, think about yourself as a travel advisor. But I know with me, if it's a potential customer, I'm dreaming and wondering, is this going to be just Mr. and Mrs. Smith, or is this going to be the entire Smith family with 40 people going to Italy versus just 2? Or you're dreaming about how big that trip might be and how much you could maybe add on to the trip or help them out with, or get that car, get that flight, all of those other things that go into the vacation. Meanwhile, the customer is also dreaming, wondering about what that future vacation is going to be like. Anticipate. You're anticipating what this all looks like, anticipating how big of a sale it might be. Your client is anticipating what their experience with you will be like, but also anticipating the success, the joy that they'll get out of that vacation. And then also in the start, there's building trust. And that, of course, is one of the biggest things here, right? Building trust from the moment you speak to that person for the first time, building trust from your first email you send to them, right? All of this comes together. But in that startup phase, these are some of those things that are happening. Okay? A lot of stuff happens in the middle, but then towards the finish line, right? And we're talking about working with travel customers, selling a trip, working with the group, whatever it may be. Starting to get to the finish line, right? It's time to travel. They are going on that vacation or trip. You are finalizing any kind of documents, follow-up emails, last-minute notes for your clients. The reminders, right? Hey, don't forget your passports. Hey, just checking in. Hope you have a great trip tomorrow. Don't forget, the car is going to be at your house at 7 a.m. Set your alarm. There's the bon voyage, right? The waving goodbye, the final call, the final email, the final text, the final goodbye, whether that's in person or done digitally, however you do that bon voyage, that's part of your finish before they go on vacation. And there are some other things, of course, with the finish. And ultimately, we're looking to rebook them, right? We don't want Mr. and Mrs. Smith just to go to Italy with you and then never call you back. We want to see where are they going to go for next year. So that's going to all be part of the finish. But let's go back to the middle. Everybody, right? Start, finish, jump into the middle. What is happening? What are you doing in the middle? Think back how I kicked off the presentation. I used the word awkward. Right, Joni? There's a time, and I say, like, between the moment when you're finishing up their documents, when they're going on vacation, like, there's these middle points, right? Or you get the credit card, your clients pay, and then they don't travel for 6 months. There's a middle part there. Between the time they leave and head to the airport to the time they get home, they're on vacation, they're away, but now the middle of that vacation, there's stuff happening, stuff that you can even do to help continue building the trust, like we said in the beginning. So wow them, those types of things. Think back to the planning phase, right? I say that because this could be part of the middle. You've met Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You've showcased what your company, your agency can do for them, how professional you are, how nice you are, how reactive, how proactive you could be. You're calling them back, you're answering their calls at midnight, whatever that might be. Now you're helping put together that itinerary. You're helping craft together that honeymoon trip, a group trip to Alaska, that whole planning phase. That could be part of your middle. What are you doing in the middle? This is the juicy stuff. These are the things I implore all of you to focus on and think about. What are you doing in the middle during that planning phase? And when you're having those conversations, the exchanges of emails, fine-tuning and making sure every bit along the way, you're building that trust and ensuring that they are going to want to call you back. They're going to want to rebook with you. Massaging. Some of you might be looking at the side saying, why is there some person's hands on somebody's leg? This is the massaging of the relationship, right? 3 weeks before their trip to Italy, you are sending them that list of the 3 top restaurants in the city of Florence. Boom, you're massaging the relationship. Mr. Smith is a golfer. I'm sure there's golf courses in Italy. He's an enthusiastic golfer. Mrs. Smith wants nothing to do with golf. Boom, you're sending them one of the most desired golf courses in or around the city of Rome and in that destination, right? Mrs. Smith is more a spa person. Boom, time to massage the relationship. Provide her some options, little hidden nuggets, secrets, things that nobody else will really send to them or even care to provide them because you're massaging the relationship while some other travel agent thinks they got the credit card and the job is done. Surprise and delight. I touched on some of those things that you could do along the servicing process or, as you close the deal, the planning phase. But keeping in mind, what are you doing for your clients as well that may go a really long way before they even step foot on that plane, before their vacation. And you can really use some of these examples I'm sharing with you, and if you really put your mind to it and get those creative juices going, you could do quite a bit before the trip, during the trip, when they get home, and utilize all these different activities and aspects. So the middle, like I hinted to before, is really where the good stuff happens. Putting together the proposal, the bid, maybe an itinerary for the client is a perfect place to add your secret sauce. What are you doing with your tone and excitement towards the vacation? You might be working with 15 different couples, 25 different clients, 3 groups, whatever that looks like. What are you doing in your delivery? Are you on the phone with them and trying to rush them off so you can get to the next customer? Are you sending a quick email or a quick text that has no personal touch behind it? How are you delivering all of this information? All of this is in the middle, and we all must focus on these sweet spots. In the middle, that's where the really good stuff happens. Are you out of sight, out of mind, or top of mind? Okay? I say there are gas moments where you put pedal to the metal, foot on the gas, and there is braking moments, brakes. Got to put a pause on it. You got to stop and go. Or are you on cruise control with that client? Now this could all be good stuff. This could all be negative stuff. When I say that, right, reading the room, reading your customer, knowing what they prefer. Do they need a call or an email from you every day, every week? Or can you just reach out to them every few weeks, once a month, whatever that looks like? But utilizing all these things and really focusing on your daily structure, your weekly and your monthly structure, working with these customers based off of their needs. A lot of these things happen in the middle of your interactions. Most of you have heard this over and over and over and over again. What you give is what you get, right? What you give into something is what your return will ultimately be. And I am a true believer of this. My friends, my family sometimes make fun of me. They ask me, Joni, you know anybody that like they are just all smiles and everything is positive?
I think that's important to try. I think it's a good thing. I don't find fault with that. I think it's awesome. I think
No,
it brings people up. Yeah.
it is like there's people say out there too, like, there's no such thing as luck. People generate their own luck. And the meaning behind that is the more positive you are, the more you put into something. If I sit here and say, oh my gosh, you ever see like there's actually a variety of books out there. I don't want to plug any one of them, but there's a lot of them out there that, what you're putting into the world, you're going to get back. And, if I think I'm going to find money, you're going to find money and all those things. I'm sure some of you read some of those books, The Secret, other ones out there. But look at that. I did plug a book. But those, what you give is what you get. And truly, if you go into that experience with those customers, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get positive results. You're going to get positivity put back at you. And this is my favorite picture throughout this entire show. The middle is also where the good stuff happens. Think about those Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh my gosh, you bite into one of those and just boom, all that peanut butter. But really, right? Think about that. What are some of the best desserts out there? The good stuff is where? It's in the middle. Okay. That was one of my big first things when it comes to what I've learned at my daughter's middle school graduation. Another thing they spoke about was rejection. And you see this little cartoon in front of you now, right? I mentioned before, and same thing, my daughter, right? First crush. Then they broke up. They never really hung out, but they eventually broke up. Rejection, right? She was upset. And these things happen. And in middle school, this is one of those first true tests. This first, parts of our lives, one of the first parts of our lives, where we're starting to see more and more rejection that may come up. Now, Joni, we chatted about this earlier, but I need to fill everybody in on something. And I don't know if anybody's going to like this, but this world and a lot of what we experience in this life, it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. Sadly, it's not. I know. I started, saying earlier about myself being a positive person, and my friends and family, my brother specifically, he can be the everlasting pessimist, I tell you. He's also kept me in check sometimes, right? And he calls me David. My mother and my older brother, they are the only two people left that call me David versus Dave. And when I hear David, you got to be kidding me, or David, that's never going to happen. And I'm more like, let's make it happen. Let's go. We can do it. It's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. I think one of the big lessons here, again, lesson number 2 is, rejection will happen. Life is not always rainbows and unicorns, but we need to persevere through that and move through that and get to a better place. Lessons in school, middle school, you will fail, right? You will fall. You may cry. You may get upset and get angry. And I'm not just talking about your grades. I know there's the big F in the Scantron there. Do they even use Scantron? I think everything's done on them. This dates me, by the way. If anybody on that hasn't seen one of these, just called a Scantron. Had to use the number 2 pencils back in the day. But middle school, this is where, and you might see some of this in elementary school, and this can go in so many aspects of life, but there's times where, you might fail a test. You will fall, right? I remember learning to play roller hockey back in the day. Oh my gosh, did I fall quite a bit trying to play roller hockey on roller skates. You may cry. There's been some tough times in life, even back to middle school, where I will admit it, I have cried. You may get upset. You may get angry, right? Oh my gosh, I failed that test. Holy cow, I did not make the varsity baseball team. But you will succeed. You will climb. You will laugh, and I hope you laugh a lot. And you will be happy. And there will be moments, and I've seen this through my own children. Ava, my middle school graduate, where she has done I go through all of these 8 lines, right? Fail, fall, cry, get upset, succeed, climb, laugh, be happy. I've seen it all. Not only from kids in school, but obviously as an adult. And I think we can all relate to this. But it's a matter of what we do with all of these things, especially when it goes into your business. What do you do when you lose a sale? Do you give up or do you push ahead? Joni, I just want to share a quick story. And this goes back to, 2012, Hurricane Sandy. I live in Long Island here in New York. Some of you tuned into the broadcast, you might be listening to this recording, whatever it may be. Hurricane Sandy, for me, we had the first floor of our house wiped out, flooded, we had to rebuild, all that stuff. I won't get into all the crazy details. Some of you listening in may have gone through your own quote unquote Hurricane Sandy or own experience like that, or even something else that was just traumatizing, right? That hit you over the head. So I'm going through all of that, right? And at the time I'm working for a tour operator. I'm an outside sales manager, hitting the streets, pounding the pavement, looking for new business, working with travel advisors, looking for groups, all of that. So Hurricane Sandy hits, my life is turned upside down. Took a couple of weeks basically off because I needed to get my life back together with my family, my house, all that. And then I went back to work. Right before I went back to work, I had a few pending group opportunities, some really big pieces of business that I was really, I was praying, I was hoping we could close the deal on. So these things were pending. Hurricane Sandy hits, my life gets turned upside down, and now I'm just about to get back into work, reach back out to some of these pending groups and clients and agents. And one of my biggest ones that I thought was 80 to 90% closed. I felt really good about it. Would have been a nice commission, good paycheck, all that stuff. And I could use it at that time, right? Hurricane Sandy cleaned my house out, basically. This big piece of business would have been a really, really nice pat on the back, but more importantly, a good financial way to help me get, my footing back where I needed it to be. What happened to that group that I thought was 80 to 90%? I spoke to the group leader, spoke to the agent, and it fell through. And it was a huge punch in the stomach for me where I lost that sale. The agent lost that sale, right? Gone. I had these high hopes, high expectations, and I was going through all this personal stuff with Hurricane Sandy and my family and everything like that. But now I lost one of these biggest sales that I was going to hopefully get my hands on. What was I going to do? As you see in the picture there, right? My balloon went up into the sky and I never saw it again. This sale went off into the abyss, never saw it again. And I cried for a minute. I hung up the phone with on that call. I was dealing with everything with the hurricane and all that, and the house and everything. But for me, this was one of those things I was holding my hat on, and I said, okay, this is going to be one of my wins during this tough time, and that got taken away from me, and I lost it. And I had the choice there to tuck my tail between my legs and just kind of manage my business. But thankfully, it took me a day or two, but I was able to pick myself off the ground and push forward when it came to sales, my success, and ultimately my business. So that's the story with that is everyone out there, get through those times, push forward, and just know we will all continue to deal with rejection. It's no matter what we do with it. My final and my third lesson, and this one, I mean, I love them all, but this one, I love comedy. I love watching, funny movies, movies in general. I'm a big Saturday Night Live guy. Steve Martin, right? And I don't know if any of you saw some of his masterclass stuff or interviews from him in the past. One of my favorite quotes that he said, and he's known for, is, "Be so good they can't ignore you. Be so good they can't ignore you." Think about that. And think about that with your job. Think about that, when you're, I say with friends, with family. Obviously, those times you're letting your hair down, those types of things. But in the professional sense and with what we're doing, right, you want to make sure your clients are not ignoring you. So be so good they can't ignore you. All right, Joni, I'm bringing you behind the curtain on some of Dave's personal interests, but I said comedies. Have you ever seen the movie Dumb and Dumber?
I love that show.
So here's a quick screenshot. I'm not going to play any scenes from the movie, but be so good they can't ignore you, right? You got Jeff Daniels, you got Jim Carrey. I always forget the actor in the middle. He's in a ton of movies, but he hasn't been as big. He hasn't been as big as Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey. So be so, good they can't ignore you, and they remember you. Obviously, both those actors, right? Tremendous talent, and they've done quite a bit. They're very, very accomplished, especially in the comedic world. But I share this picture as well. In this scene, Jim Carrey is also what he calls something to the effect of the world's most annoying sound. And I will not demonstrate it. I will not tell everyone to turn up your audio if you're listening. But in this scene, right, he is screaming at this high pitch, wow, wow, whatever that might be. And he's annoying the you-know-what out of the gentleman in the middle. He is going to be memorable, but for all the wrong things. So really, this image is twofold. Obviously, the success of many accomplished actors and actresses, but being memorable in a bad way can really destroy your sale and ultimately hurt your business and success. So you always want to be memorable for the good things. Be so good that they can't forget you and that you're always memorable. Hopefully everybody knows at least what I call this young lady in front of us. Simone Biles, the winner of 41 World/Olympic medals. 41. Do you think she wakes up every morning not thinking that people will remember her, or with the low goals of being like, all right, I'll go out there and do my thing. Hopefully I win. She's out there every day, kicking butt, taking names, and everyone looks to her as the GOAT when it comes to world gymnastics, right? Quite accomplished. 41 World/Olympic medals. People remember her. People will remember her because that is her mindset. In closing, I want to ask everyone in the audience right now, please write these things down, hold on to them, study them, and think about them as you move forward in your business. What's your thing, right? What is your thing that customers, group leaders, friends, family, what's your thing, right? What are people going to remember you for? Why you? If I'm a potential customer, and now more than ever, people are jumping online, and this has been happening for a while now, but right, jump online and price out their next cruise. They're going to call, they're going to email, they're going to reach out to 2, 3, 4, 5 different travel agencies or travel advisors. Hey, what can you do for me on that cruise? What can you do for me for this family trip to Disney? Whatever it might be. Why are they going to remember you, and why should they choose you? Think about these things, and think about that with your business and your everyday interactions. And a lot of what we spoke about today, what are you going to do about it? And how are you going to make sure your clients remember you? So I would fail as a parent without going back to my daughter, Ava. Joni, I am happy to report, through all of these things and all of these lessons, she survived the middle. She was not
I'm not
always
surprised.
a great student. She was like me. I was not a good student back in school. And she thankfully fought hard, worked hard. She made the honor roll basically every quarter of the school year. She went through the ups and downs of her first crush, and she became a pretty successful softball player over these years. And she survived the middle. You know, she thankfully has accomplished several things throughout that middle school experience that's really going to help launch her into high school and beyond. And I couldn't be prouder. And I've learned along the way as well, as far as getting through those awkward phases, surviving the middle, making sure that, I stood out and stand out where I can, and learn from falling down, learn from that rejection, because it's going to happen over and over again. It's just a matter of how we all deal with it. So, Joni, that's all I got for you. A huge thank you for your time. For those who have tuned in, I just put up on the screen there my contact information. And if there's any questions or anything, Joni, I'd love to hear from you. And I know we have a couple of great questions to throw back at the audience as well for some prizes. So.
Absolutely. Okay, that was really inspiring. Thank you, Dave. That was so good. I'm never going to call you David, I promise. Even though it's
too.
what it says in your signature.
I know. It's funny. It's funny too. Like on this screen here, you'll see I put my name as Dave Meyerfer, but they put down my email. My work email address is just at David M. So everyone take note, David M at CTI.
Exactly. I've learned. I know now. But yeah, that was awesome. Thank you. It was a good feeling webinar. Just what we needed to get our second day of the week on a roll, I think. I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. I've had a number of people log in saying that they really appreciated it, and it was a great webinar. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any here yet. So if you have any, let me know. But people say yes, so true, Joni. It was a great webinar, so thank you for that, folks. All right, well, I guess if we don't have any questions, because you gave us such an amazing presentation, we don't need any, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do our questions for our prizes. So the first prize we're going to give away is a 30-minute consultation with Dave, which is invaluable, as you can tell. He's extremely inspiring, and I know that your 30 minutes is going to be definitely valuable to your business. So I have a question, and I'm going to pick the 15th correct answer. I know all of you are probably going to get this right, but still, I'm going to pick the 15th. Question 1. Okay, ready, folks? When you know the answer to the question, type it as fast as you can into the question area that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, okay? All right, so here's the first one. What is the perfect place for you as a travel advisor to add your secret sauce? Go.
Well, let's hear it, everyone. Hope you're taking some notes.
All right, so we've got some answers, but it's not the right answer.
Okay.
I'm looking. You want to give them a hint?
Sure. It is the perfect place for the secret sauce is in the beginning of your sales process with a customer.
Okay.
Maybe that.
So people are asking me to give the question again, so I'm going to do it again. What is the perfect place for you as a travel advisor to add your secret sauce? Okay, so I'm going to give them a hint. Dave, will
Okay.
you marry me? Will you marry me, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. So that was a what, folks? One, two, three. Okay, here we go. They're coming. They're getting there. Okay. All right. So let me get the right one. All right. The answer is going to be there's actually a number of answers to it. It's proposal or bidding process. But because I gave
Yes.
you that hint about marrying Dave, who's already married, we'll go ahead, and I am too. Okay. So here we go. All right. The answer was proposal and or bidding
Okay.
process. And the winner is Lovella Rogan. Lovella, congratulations to you. Dave will be reaching out to you once we send him your email information. Okay. All right. So next one. Ready, folks? I'm going to clear the screen.
Here we go.
All right. Ready. Okay. True or false? Okay, this is going to be a good one. True or false? Life is all rainbows and unicorns. Go.
50-50
taking
shot,
number.
everyone.
I'm sorry. I'm taking number 10. Sorry, folks. All
This
right,
is a
we have a
real
winner.
stop
And
cost
the
button.
answer is, I want the answer to be true. So I want to give it to Liam, but Liam, I'm sorry, you and I are wrong. It's actually false. And the answer is false, and the winner is Terry Gordon. Terry, congratulations to you as well. And we will
Congrats,
be, of course,
Terry.
reaching out to you, Terry. All right, so the last one is going to be for a gift card provided by Travel Professional News. This one's pretty easy too, so I'm pretty sure you guys will get this one easy enough. All right. I'm going to take the seventh correct answer to this one. Question 3. How many World Olympic medals has Simone Biles won? Go.
Ooh, good one. I said this number twice during at least twice during the broadcast too.
I know. I heard you. We have some
Let's
right,
see.
but I was going to take number 5 right, but we don't have a number 5 right. So I'm going to switch, and I'm going to just
Okay.
randomly put my finger on the one that I'm closing my eyes. I'm closing my eyes, folks. Okay. All right. The winner is going to be Amber Robert. Amber Robert, the answer is 41. Now, a lot of people got what I thought it was at first, which was what she got at the Olympics this year. But as David said, she won additional ones. So there you go. All right, Amber, congratulations. You will be receiving a Amazon gift card shortly. I'll be sending that to you via email, so you can be watching for that. And that's it. I think it was wonderful. Thank you, Dave. What a great, great, great time.
Thank you, Joni. Hopefully everybody learned the 3 things
Oh,
that I
yes.
learned from middle school graduation. Thank you.
Absolutely. And congratulations to your daughter as well. Sounds like she did a wonderful job of getting through middle school.
Thank you so much. Now as parents, we're dealing with the dreaded high school coming up.
I know. Take them back to middle school, right? Oh, God. First crush becomes
Exactly.
20th crush. I'm sure she'll do great with parents like you guys. All right, folks, thank you so much, everybody. Everybody have a great day, okay? And we will see you all next time around. And again, Dave, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Joni. Bye.